One of the best things I've ever done was comparing myself to other people. And I know it sounds crazy because we're so used to being told, don't compare yourself to others, just look at yourself, right? Why? Because the people usually telling you to not compare yourself to others are the ones that one day compared themselves to better people and said, oh, I can't be that virgin, I can't be like them, I can't be successful, I can't be fit, I can't have love. And that's why they demonize comparing yourself to others. And especially in Europe, I don't want to go now into politics, but what's going on in Europe is absolutely miserable. We had in Germany, for example, we had so-called Bundesjugendspiele, which means in school, every year, you were all school students, right? They were going on a tournament where they would compete in different things, soccer, running, high jumping, whatever it is. And you would be able to also get a medal. You would get a gold medal or a silver medal or a bronze medal, and you would either be a loser or a winner. Now, not really a loser in that sense, but you could be a winner because you would compare yourself to others and you would be better and you would win. And in Europe, this doesn't exist anymore. Why? Because people, I don't know who, but let's say politicians came up with the fact that, we should not have winners and losers. Everybody should be equal. And that's the biggest crap there is. Why? Because comparison is competition. And competition drives innovation. Competition drives actually recreation. Because if you look at other people who have a better life and you don't have that life because you might be overweight, you might be unhealthy, you might be poor, you might be this, but they're not, it forces you to recreate yourself so that you become the version that you need to be to have all the things you want. So competition is a wonderful thing. And I can actually give you a concrete example. I was 18 years old and I was about to become a man, and life would get serious now because I wasn't in school anymore and I didn't have all the time to just go out and drink and have fun and not care about anything. I needed to become a professional. I needed to build a life that's worth living, right? And I looked at all the people around me and I realized they don't have the life I want. They're not rich, they're not fit, okay, and they're not having the best relationship. Some of them might have one of these things. There might have been very, very few exceptions that had multiple or all of these things that I wanted because I always wanted it all, okay? And I looked at these people and I realized if I am going to do what they tell me to do, what they did, I'm going to end up exactly like them, right? I think Albert Einstein says insanity is repeating what you do and expecting different results. That is insanity, right? So I understood that I have to do something different. So what did I do? I compared myself with more successful people and looked at them and be like, okay, what do they do compared to me that makes them successful and me not yet? And I simply started modeling more successful people. And that's when I started my first business, which miserably failed. And there was like a fraud and I lost all my money, and none of that really matters now. But the point is this: I took the first step because I compared myself with other people. And I was open enough to see comparing myself with the people I don't want to have the life like they have, that I have to change my actions. I need to become a winner, whatever that meant for me, right? Now, in the second stage, and that's where I encountered a big problem, which I think a lot of you guys will resonate with, I struggled, right? Because I was, making some better decisions. I was getting a little bit fitter. I was starting to make a little bit of more money. And I realized still I'm struggling a lot. I'm not near the life where I want to be. So what did I do? I compared myself with even more successful people. And here's the key. Because of this, I realized I have to again recreate myself. I have to go from being the guy who's always late and being the guy who always catches up and never has enough time and never gets enough done, to being the guy who is super hyper productive. That's when I first got into peak performance. Back then, I didn't know what that means. But I looked at more successful people who didn't struggle the way I did, and I realized they're very, very productive, because the one thing you can't do is waste time. But if I would have not compared myself to the people I don't want to be like and the people I do want to be like, I would have never actually seen what I have to do, right? Now here's the key. If you belong to the people who compared yourself to others and it just makes you crumble because you're like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, you have to understand one thing. First of all, it is totally normal. If you compare yourself to other people, it is the most normal reaction for your mind and body to tell you, that's not good, don't do that, you're not made for this, right? All the negative thoughts come into your mind telling you you're not good enough, you can't do this, you're not made for this. That's normal. Just understand it's normal, you're not special, everybody has that. But here's the key for you. Please understand this. You need high energy. You need to be very healthy. You don't need to have a six-pack. You don't need to be super jacked. None of that. You just need to be very healthy and need to have high energy, because energy is life. What is the opposite of energy? Did you ever ask yourself that question? The opposite of high energy is being dead or sick or depressed, right? So why do you need high energy? And this concept completely changed my life in the way I perform in life, in all aspects. Because if you have high energy and you compare yourself to somebody who has significantly more success, whether that be in relationships or in their finances or in their health, in their fitness, if you have high energy, you will be inspired because you will think you can do it too. There might be still that little voice inside your head telling you, I don't know, but the majority of your thoughts are gonna be inspirational and you're gonna believe you can do it too, right? I'm gonna prove it to you. After a workout, how do you feel? After a workout, you feel so good about yourself that no matter what goal you think about, you believe you can achieve it. But have days where you have low energy, or when you have a morning when you have low energy, and ask yourself, can I really be that guy that I look at and am like, I want this life too? You will have doubts. Your mind will trick you into procrastination. You will betray yourself, because if you look at all failures in your life, you will realize it was always you betraying yourself. Always. Okay? It weren't any enemies. It was you betraying yourself. So for you to not betray yourself when comparing yourself to somebody more successful and then saying, I can do this, and then not pursuing your dream anymore, you need to be in a high energy state. And why this video is not about high energy now, I just want to make another point. You have to, at all times, be willing to sacrifice who you are to become who you want to be. This is a critical concept when you compare yourself to others, because the people that you want to be like most likely have been exactly like you before. Okay? They've had the negative thoughts, they've had the struggle, they've had the fat belly, they've had the skinny body, they've had the, everything, right? They've been poor and all of this. So you have to be willing to recreate yourself into a higher version to be able to become that man, that woman that lives that life that you are acquired to live, okay? And to be honest, I struggled with this for a very long time, because it's very easy to say, yeah, just look at people that are more successful and just be inspired and just have high energy, because that's not all. There's a concept that completely changed my view of the world and how life works. And it put away all the pressure. It put away all the anxiety of not being enough, all the anxiety of not being able to achieve something, not being good enough. And this concept is that if you have a desire in your mind, you can see yourself already getting rich. You can see yourself driving that car. You can see yourself having that beautiful relationship. You can see yourself, whatever it is. Some of you guys want to have 10 women and be whatever, right? Whatever fantasies you have. If you can see yourself having a six-pack, being at the beach, putting your shirt off, maybe having your kids, your wife look at you and be like, wow, look at daddy. Or maybe just having people turn their heads because of you. If you have this desire, it means that there is already a version of you that exists already that has this. Because it's meant for you to happen. And why is that proven? Because look at other people in your circle, other people you know. They don't have that desire, right? They cannot see themselves getting rich. They cannot see themselves having a six-pack. They cannot see themselves having a beautiful relationship. Why can you, being in that position you are in right now, probably without having none of that, why can you see yourself? Why do you have that desire? Because somebody, God, placed it into your mind for you to have it, to signalize you that this version of you already exists and you can achieve it. And when I understood this concept, all the anxiety of not being enough was gone. All the pressure of maybe have waited too long, maybe not being good enough was gone. Because I realized it's meant to happen. My mom didn't have that desire. My friends didn't have these desires. My teachers didn't have these desires. Why me? Because I'm special. And all of you guys are special too. You have different desires than I have. And you have to understand that every person has different desires, and these desires just show you what fulfillment means for you, okay? And your job in life is simply to put in the work, okay? Because if you put in the work, you will eventually become worthy of it. You will feel confident about yourself and you will be worthy of it, and then you will get anything you want. Now, just to give you one last point here. This concept changed the pressure that I had, okay? And I was able to look at even more successful people and be even more inspired by comparing myself. Instead of crumbling and being like, I can do this, why am I so bad? Why is it me? Why am I a loser? Why is life bad to me and unfair? Instead of being this version, I was the version who was inspired and believing I can do too. It wasn't easy always, but I believed I can do too. Why? Because I had very high energy, which is the key for you, like I said. But the main thing you have to do, which basically sums all of this up and wraps it up, is you have to conquer your mind. So you have to understand, first of all, that competition is super important. And then you have to conquer your mind. And before I actually go a little bit over conquering your mind, just one proof to you that competition is so important. Comparing yourself is so freaking good. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Why? Alex Hormozi says it so well. You're not actually, maybe you've heard that before, you're the sum of the people, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with, right? And that's true to a very high extent, because their belief systems are going to transfer onto you, their habits are going to transfer onto you, and that's all fine. But Alex Hormozi said something that was so cool and on point, and I want to share this with you. He said that, and studies prove that, rather than who you surround yourself with, which would be what indicates your future, is who you compare yourself with. So in other words, who you compare yourself with will indicate who you will become, much more than who you surround yourself with. And I tell you this because some of you guys might sit here and be like, yeah, but I'm not in the best financial situation, I'm not the fittest, I'm not the most confident, and I don't have the surrounding. That is all okay. Because the one thing you have, which is why you watch this video, you have the desire, which already proves that you're meant to live that life. You just have to put in the work and work on your mind. And second of all, by comparing yourself to more successful people and being in a high energy state so that you're inspired instead of crumbled, you're going to become like them. That's proven. And that is such a cool concept that really changed my view of competition and comparing myself. And I've done it naturally when I was 18, comparing myself, and thanks God I did not crumble. Thanks God I was inspired. And then I obviously hit a plateau and I was asking myself, can I do this? I struggled with myself so much. I had these voices in my head that told me I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm gonna fail. Very, very, very dark thoughts, very dark thoughts. And I conquered my mind to work for me. I conquered my mind to be at my side at all times. Because again, if you look at your failures in life, you'll realize it was always your own mind betraying yourself. If you started something and quit, it was your own mind making you quit. If you procrastinated, you knew you should do something, but you didn't do it, then it was your own mind tricking you into procrastination, right? How many times have you doubted yourself? Ask that question. It was your mind leading to self-betrayal. So conquering my mind and making my mind be on my side all of the time was the most important thing I've ever done. And I'm doing many videos around this topic. I can't make this video here too long. I just wanted to come on here really quick to tell you that comparing myself was one of the best things I've ever done. So please do not stop comparing yourself, and don't just compare yourself to people who are worse off than you just so you can feel a little bit better about yourself. No, be courageous enough to look at people who have the most amazing life and compare yourself to these people and ask yourself, what do they do? It's gonna also show you what you lack, right? And that's absolutely beautiful. And by the way, one thing that helped me also to understand the type of man I am and understand who I am really and what I'm supposed to live, what life I'm supposed to live, what my purpose is. When you look at people who are much more successful than you, whether that's in finances or that's in relationships or health, it's also gonna show you who you truly are, because you're gonna understand, I want this or I don't want this. Because when I look at people who are much more successful than me in whatever area, they have things that I want and I say, okay, I need to do what they do to get these things as well. But they have things that I don't want. I look at their life and I'm like, I don't care about this, I don't want this. And because I compare myself, the picture that I have about myself, my real self, who I truly am, right, becomes much more clear. And that is beautiful. That is really beautiful. So comparing yourself and competition leads to so many amazing things. Don't let anybody fool you into anything different. You want to become a winner. You want to compare yourself to other people. You want to be better than other people, because many people have a dark side. All of you have a dark side. And you have to acknowledge that the reason why you want to be successful in the first place is probably because you want to be better than other people. And that is not a bad thing. It is an honest thing For you to become the most authentic version of yourself, which is the highest version of yourself, you have to be honest. I'm gonna make another video about this, but you have to be honest with yourself. Many people say, by the grace of God, I want to be rich. Or, you know, God, I just want to be rich so I can be your servant. That's all fine, but that's not the real reason why you want to be successful. There's maybe 20%, okay? But there's a dark reason, which is a good reason, because it's the main driver behind why you want to be who you crave to be. You understand? And if you realize that the desire you have in your mind is placed there for a reason, and that this version already exists, it puts away the pressure. Just put in the work. Don't wait. Okay, that's a concept that winners live by. They don't wait. And if you've waited until now, that's also fine, because there's no proof that the past exists. You can't prove that the future exists. There's only now. And you have every single second in life the chance to recreate yourself. And how do you do this in a very effective way is by comparing yourself to the people that have what you want. Okay? And you will see what you need to do, you will see what you lack, and you will eventually also see what you want and what you don't want, which then closes the circle in becoming your most authentic self, your true self. And life will look so beautiful. Okay, so don't let anybody fool you into believing comparing yourself is not good. It's very good, and just make sure to put in the work, have high energy. That's absolute key, so that you feel inspired and not crumbled, and you will be also getting everything you want, because that's what you deserve. If you can see it, you deserve it already. Or let's say it's meant for you to happen already, and it's beautiful. Just go out there and get it.